Hey y'all, happy Monday. Today is February 23rd, and I'm just coming to you guys with a word. Just some things that have been happening within my life over the past maybe 3-4 days, and just the word and the message that God has given me behind it. So, I've talked to y'all before about the contract role that I work, and just the things that I told y'all, I made sure to let y'all know that God was working in me, and I was checking myself. I was checking my ego. I was checking my pride. I was allowing God to humble me. Well, I do believe that there is a difference between God humbling you and then God knowing and understanding when some people are taking advantage or. And let me come back and clean this part right here, because I do mean some people taking advantage. So one thing that I've told y'all before, because I've told y'all based off my family dynamics, is that a lot of the time God will close the door on my relationships with me and certain family members if when I come around them, I'm in defense mode and I can't love genuinely and wholly the way that God wants me to love. If my purpose, which I feel one of my purposes is to love on people and to just soften the hearts of the people around me. But if I'm walking around and I come around you and I got a hard heart because you are a person who's disrespectful, or you are a person who doesn't have boundaries, or you are a person who just, you don't even see me as I show up. You still see me as the 15-year-old troublemaker or the 12-year-old troublemaker. If I come around you and I cannot be my genuine loving self, yes, at some point in time, God will close the door on that relationship. So sometimes it is when God sees people mistreating you, when you are working in your purpose and God sees people mistreating you and you are doing what you're supposed to do. This ain't about them. This is about you. You still have to have a good heart. You still have to be in good standing with God. You still have to be checking yourself and making sure that you are acting in the way that God wants you to act, regardless of the people who coming at you. If you are doing right, and God sees that you cannot fulfill your purpose in the environment that you are in, God will remove you. That happens. Not even some people are taking advantage, but when it comes to your purpose in a place being done, is done. Like, that's it. Regardless of if you're ready, regardless of if other people are ready, when God feels like you have accomplished whatever assignment He had placed you in an environment or with a person, when you are done with that assignment, you are done. So last Friday was my last day of my contract. Now, mind y'all, I told y'all that my contract was supposed to end at the end of March, but they ended it early. It's fine by me. Because when I think about all the passive aggression that I had to deal with and all the different things that was going on, like, God knew that I was stressing myself to make sure that I was not allowing my ego and my pride to lead me, and pretty much just trying to do what I needed to do to make sure I had a job by the end of this contract. And I could even see where I was doing a lot. Y'all, last Monday, I went to the doctor's. My blood pressure was 152/94 because of how bad this job was stressing me out. Like, I really had got to the point where I really did not know how to please them. It was crazy. Like, last Thursday, I was leading a meeting, and that's like kind of when this stuff started. Last Thursday, I was leading a meeting. My voice went out mid-meeting. This was something that, and then somebody had to, take over. This was something that they felt the need to go tell the manager, and the manager went back and told the staffing company, and the staffing company reached out to me like, "Hey, Lee, are you okay?" But it was so much of that, y'all. And I told y'all, I forgot what video it was, but I told y'all, like, I really struggled with understanding if this was support or, like, I was really defensive. And while I could see that God really did want me to receive support, not necessarily like saying that they had good intentions, not saying that they had bad intentions, but receiving support doesn't always look like, how do I say this? Support can look like you learning a lesson. It does not have to look like this person maintaining a long-term relationship with you, or this person like being by your side and being your help and aid. Sometimes support just looks like you being able to humble yourself and receive the lesson that is being taught in this hour. So for me, the support that I feel like God was pushing me to receive was not on a relationship type level, but the lesson, like I learned how to do my notes better. I learned this was my first client facing implementation role, so I learned this experience. Like it was more, hopefully this don't sound crazy because I feel like it's all over the place, but I'm just letting God lead. But I more so learned skill, right? So for me, learning support in this hour meant me learning skill, me learning new things that I did not know how to do before, and learning how to do it in a more efficient way. So that's what support looked like for me. Me receiving that support meant that I mean, I don't have to assume that they have bad intentions or they have sneaky intentions and all that. It's not for me to judge somebody's actions and try to say this is what they meant by it. It's not for me to do that. Did I feel some type of way about some of the things that they did? Absolutely. But I can see now in hindsight, support for me looked like me learning the skills that are needed for me to go into my next level of life. Now, I say all that to say, I did a lot of stuff to try to please them. I did a lot of stuff to try to make sure that I had a job by the end of this contract. But that was my purpose. My purpose was to ensure that I had a job at the end of it. God's purpose was for me to acquire new skills that I had never had before, so that when he takes me to the next phase of my life, I have these skills. That was God's purpose. And I feel like God was saying, well, you have achieved your purpose here. Now it's done. Now it's done. And there was nothing that I could do to change their mind. There was nothing that I wanted to do to change their mind, to be honest, because like I said, all the different chit chat. Aaliyah voice went out in the middle of the meeting. Oh, Aaliyah doesn't act like, even some of the feedback that I got from the very beginning. Do y'all remember some of the very beginning feedback that I got when I first started was that I did not ask questions in the middle of the meeting? That instead of me shouting out in the middle of the meeting, I would wait until the end of the meeting to ping them and ask questions. It was a problem that I didn't want to speak up. Y'all are talking about high level stuff and I have questions, but I don't want to interrupt the meeting and ask those questions. I'm new. This is my very first meeting with y'all. I'm new. I don't want to do that. That was a problem. The way I did my notes was a problem. The way I would word things was a problem. Like it was crazy. It was crazy, and it was super annoying. But I tried to ensure that I was checking myself, because I do tend to have this thing where I don't like for nobody to tell me what to do. Like in the workforce, if there's a system, right, and these are the steps within the system, I know how to follow that. I can do that. I don't have no question about that. But if there's something that 20 different people do 20 different ways, I don't want you to make me do it your way. I would like to keep my own autonomy. There's absolutely some things that I can do differently, and I can take those skills on, but I feel like they tried to take too much of me and make me them. And the way that I did not become them was an issue for them. That's what I feel like, honestly. Honestly, like, it was a problem. Anything that I tried to do on my own. It was a problem. Anything that I tried to make Aaliyah, like what I know how to do, it was a problem for them. I needed to do it just like them. Even when sending an email, I needed to do it just like them. I wouldn't do it like that. Well, that's you. That don't got nothing to do with me. But I would get that a lot. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't do it like that. I would say this. I would say that. And they did not understand or respect my own autonomy. Now, I don't bring race into stuff like this. Was I the only black woman on the team? Yes. But I'm not bringing none of that in there, because I don't like to throw stuff on there unless people make it very blatant that it's a race thing. I try not to let that be like the last thought of my mind. But they just did not. I just did not work. we didn't work well together. And that was actually what they told the staffing agency. They said that things are just not working out. And I'll be honest, like, they weren't working out. It was not. I was so stressed. I was so stressed about trying to do it like them. And I talked to my mom and my dad about it, and I'm like, yo, y'all know how I've been since I was a kid. Like, I never just easily adopted somebody else's way of doing things. I could do things your way, like, if there's a system. But it's very, very, very important for me, no matter what I do, that I have my own autonomy. And honestly, you should want that. You should want somebody with a fresh perspective. So yeah, anyways, when I got the notice, I honestly felt like a weight lifted off my shoulder, because I'm like, y'all is driving me to sickness. Y'all driving me to sickness. I got a high blood pressure. Doctors don't know what's wrong. And then all of a sudden I'm coming down with this congestion stuff where I lost my voice and couldn't talk. Because I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. But so on Thursday, after I got the call where she was, the text where she was checking on me, I had told God, like, God, I don't want to work with him. Like, if they try to extend the contract, I'm going to say no. Like, I need to say no, because this is just a little bit too much for me. This is too much. Like, what is this? And I kept asking God, like, what is this? What was going on? Why was things happening like this? What does this mean? Like, is this a lesson is there a lesson in this that you want me to learn? Because please, I don't feel like I'm learning it. What is the lesson that you want me to learn in this hour? Right? Before the last video that I told you, I felt like he was trying to check me about my ego and trying to make sure that I wasn't so defensive when somebody tried to support me or when I was getting support. But I'm like, okay, I'm doing that and it's still not right for them. What am I missing? If this is where you want me at right now, I want to do it in the way that you want me to do it. I want to be in that space where I receive what it is that you want me to receive. So I'm like, what is it? So God showed me a lot of numbers. He showed me a lot of numbers. 1734 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means 11th. In the Strong's Hebrew Concordance, it means loving. 609 in the Strong's Greek Concordance, it means to cut off. In the Hebrews Concordance, it means a healer. 625 in the Strong's Hebrews Concordance means a gathering. 3602 in the Greek Concordance means a wailing or a lamenting. In the Hebrews Concordance, it means this matter. 670 in the Greek Concordance means to unload cargo or to discharge. I didn't see discharge. I don't know. Now I feel like God was kind of letting me know ahead of time, like I was going to leave. In the Hebrews Concordance, 670 means official. 2962 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means Lord or Master. In the Hebrews Concordance, it means not yet. 1025 in the Greek Concordance means an unborn or a newborn child. 1144 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means a teardrop. 1348 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means a judge. Hebrew, it means exaltation or majesty. 1248 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means service or ministry. In the Strong's Hebrews Concordance, it means son. 448 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means without mercy. Hebrew, it means God has come. 3052 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means learned or eloquent, and eloquent means to be fluent in speaking or writing. In the Strong's Hebrews Concordance, it means burden or care, which is crazy because you'll never look at a burden also meaning something that means care. But God spoke to me through that. In 197 in the Strong's Greek Concordance means more perfectly or more accurately. And so when God put all of these numbers together, I feel like he was telling me this was a pruning purpose. Like this was not something bad. Like everything that I was going through, and this was before I got fired, but everything that I was going through was only to prepare me for the next phase of my life, right? And I was being judged critically and harshly and stuff like that. But in those opportunities, or in those challenges, there are opportunities for growth. There are opportunities for you to do differently. And one thing that I pride myself on, and I thank God that I even have this in me, is before I try to blame anybody for anything, I will check myself. Aaliyah, are you doing this right? Aaliyah, can you do this differently? Aaliyah, how can you make this easier for you? Aaliyah, how can you do this in a way that works with the whole team? Like, I will check myself before I check anybody else. I will make sure I'm in right standing first before I say, no, you're doing this and this is your fault. It don't have nothing to do with me. Right? And so God was letting me know, like, that's how I need to be. First off, that's how I need to be. I need to be willing to check myself first. I need to be willing to put my defenses down, but also to understand that in this moment, God was doing something for me that I did not even see. And he confirmed this because I ended up asking, like, are you mad at me? Like, am I experiencing harsh judgment for something that I did? Like, I want full revelation on what's going on and why it's happening. And he ended up taking me to Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. And I can read that real quick. But if y'all know, that's the story in the Bible of the man who set up the wedding feast, and he invited people there, and those people didn't come. And so he ended up calling for other people to come, and he ended up calling for other people to come, and somebody came and they wasn't dressed. So I'm gonna read it out the NLT version. This is Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. All right, it says, Jesus also told them other parables. He said, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a king who prepared a great wedding feast for his son. When the banquet was ready, he sent his servants to notify those who were invited, but they all refused to come. So he sent other servants to tell them, the feast has been prepared. The bulls and fat cattle have been killed, and everything is ready. Come to the banquet. But the guests he had invited ignored them and went their own way. One to his farm, another to his business. Others seized his messengers and insulted them and killed them. The king was furious, and he sent out his army to destroy the murderers and burn their town. And he said to his servants, the wedding feast is ready, and the guests I invited aren't worthy of the honor. Now go out to the street corners and invite everyone you see. So the servants brought in everyone they could find, good and bad alike, and the banquet hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to meet the guests, he noticed a man who wasn't wearing the proper clothes for a wedding. Friend, he asked, how is it that you are here without wedding clothes? But the man had no reply. Then the king said to his aides, bind his hands and feet and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. And what I got here is, that man who got thrown out, he had no expectations of going to a wedding guest. He was called immediately on the spot, where he was walking down the street to the grocery store, and somebody says, hey, the king has invited you to this banquet. Let's go. He didn't know that he was supposed to be there, or he was going there. So he didn't dress for a banquet. That was not in his plan for that day. But like God said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. If you are always ready, then you are always prepared for what God is doing, because nobody knows the hour of when God is coming. Nobody knows the hour of when God is transitioning you from one position to the next position, from one environment to the next environment. Nobody knows. And nobody knows what that next environment is. Nobody knows what that next role is. But if you are always prepared, if you always have the skill, if you always have the mindset to receive what God is doing, then you are always prepared for where God is taking you no matter what. And so for me, a lot of this was about me being prepared for the next level of my life. And I even could see where God had me use that in multiple different areas of my life. Always me being able to check myself, me not being led by my ego, but also the desire for me to keep my autonomy and not just blend in with the crowd. Yo, that go for so many different areas. That go for friendships, that go for romantic relationships, that go for business deals, that go for career progression. Like, that go for so many different areas of life. It's not just for this one area. And I feel God, again, strengthening me in a way where I'm able to check myself, but also I don't desire to be what you want me to be just to be chosen by you. And, I repent for that, because in that moment when I was doing that, I had made that job an idol. I made the job an idol. I stopped trusting in God because I started feeling like my stability and my structure came from this job. This was the highest paying job I had ever received. My rent is $3,900, y'all. I can't afford to work, a low paying job. You know what I'm saying? So in that moment, I was trusting in the job more than I trusted in God. I trusted more in the position that I was in instead of trusting in God. And God is reminding me that no matter where you are to trust in me. If that's a situation that I want you in, you ain't going nowhere. But if that's a situation that I no longer want you in, there's nothing that you can do to stay. There's nothing that you can do or say that's going to keep you in that position when I'm ready for you to move. And I really had to learn that. I really did. And so, I have a couple more scriptures that I want to read just to encourage people. When God puts you through the fire, God is pruning you. When you find yourself in these environments and you find yourself being tested constantly and consistently, God is doing something. And I encourage you to seek God on what that something is. Because I never would have got any of this had I been walking around with my tail on my shoulders, acting like, well, this is my way of doing things and I want to do it my way. So if you don't like that, then that's your problem. I would have never got any of these lessons had I walked around acting like that. And I felt like that. I definitely felt like that, but I kept taking that feeling to God. Like, what can I do? What am I supposed to do? How do you want me to perceive what's happening? Because there's nothing that happens under the sun that God doesn't know about. God either allows it or he arranges it. There's nothing that happens that God doesn't allow you to go through, or God doesn't know that you're going through. He's either making you go through that for a reason, or he has allowed the enemy to mess in your life. But either way, God has his hands on that. So there's something that he wants you to learn out of this, whether it be humbling, whether it be you learning to seek God consistently and constantly for the things that's going on in your life or for the things that you want. There's no way I should have been trying to please some people the way that I was to keep a contract job or to make sure I had a job at the end of it. Because the same way that God got me this job is the same way God is going to do better. That while this was my highest paying job, the next opportunity that comes to me is going to be higher paid. I guarantee that. I can promise you the next job that I get is going to pay more than what I got paid now. I'm a strong believer in that. And so, yeah, God, and like I said, I can use this in multiple different areas, because guess what? If God was to take me into my husband's environment tomorrow, I do need to understand that I do have to keep my own autonomy. But at the same time, I cannot allow myself to be led by my ego and to think that my way is the right way and his way of doing things is wrong and to try to boss him around. I have to have my heart open to receive what's going on. And the biggest thing about it, when somebody's telling you something and you know for a fact that it don't agree with you, you don't have to receive that. You can listen and respect what somebody says and just take what applies to you and throw the rest in the trash. You don't have to take on everything that somebody tells you. You are to keep your own identity at all times. Even as husband and wife, God is not telling for you to act like him and for him to act like you. And this thing right here said identity theft is the #1 crime in America. God is not telling you to take on somebody else's identity and for them to take on yours. You are to still keep your own identity, but when you work together in a partnership, you guys figure out how to mesh together. And that is the same thing in your career. That's the same thing in every area of life. This don't just apply to career. This can apply to everything. Your job is not to try to blend in with the people around you to be accepted. God says you are already chosen. It is not your job to try to blend in with the people around you so that you can make sure you have stability, so that you can decrease arguments, so that you can be accepted. God accepts you, and that's the only thing that matters. If God accepts you, then it don't matter who come up against you. And so I have a couple of different scriptures that I want to read, and most of these are just about going through the trials and going through the fire and what that means. And so Malachi chapter 3, verse 3. I'm going to read I'm going to read the whole thing because I feel like this speaks to the whole thing. So, starting at verse 1, look, I am sending my messenger and he will prepare the way before me. Then the Lord you are seeking will suddenly come to his temple. The messenger of the covenant whom you look for so eagerly is surely coming, says the Lord of heaven's armies. But who will be able to endure it when he comes? Who will be able to stand and face him when he appears? For he will be like a blazing fire that refines metal, or like a strong soap that bleaches clothes. He will sit like a refiner of silver, burning away the dross. He will purify the Levites, refining them like gold and silver, so that they may once again offer acceptable sacrifices to the Lord. Then once more, the Lord will accept the offerings brought to him by the people of Judah and Jerusalem, as he did in the past. This thing, says the Lord, you are seeking will suddenly come. You don't know when God is going to transition you from one area of life to the next. Sometimes God does send you little things, like, for instance, right after that on Friday, or it might have been Saturday, somewhere around that time, I started feeling like God finna move me again. And I feel like he finna move me back to another state. Yesterday, I was asking God, like, how do I prepare for it? How do I prepare for it? And I felt him telling me, that's not your responsibility right now. I just want you to receive the word that I might be finna move you somewhere else. Just receive the word. I ain't asked you to start getting boxes. I ain't asked you to start looking at places. I ain't asked you to do nothing. Just receive the word that I want you to move. That's it. Your next step will come when it's time for you to start preparing for it. But just receive the word. We don't know. I don't know when God is going to move me. I'm trying to plan for him to move me in May when my son get out of school. God could try to move me tomorrow, y'all. I don't think that's the case, but I'm just saying, like, and like I said in one of those videos, the release anxiety and confusion, you can't prepare for what God is trying to do in your life. You can never be prepared for it. You have no clue. God could give you a word and you have no clue what other branches stem and come out of that one word. You don't know what God is going to do. All you can do is receive the word until he starts giving you instructions. God will give you the word first. Then God will give you instructions. Then God will set things into play. He will send you the destiny helpers. He will send you all the support that you need, the finances. But God, get a word first. Let the word simmer in your heart first before God try to give you anything else, before you start asking God for anything else. The other verse that I had, and this is actually one of my favorite verses, but this is James chapter 1. And starting at verse 2, it says, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. If you allow God to put you through the fire when you're going through it, and you allow him, instead of you be sitting in that place blaming everybody around you, instead, if you go to God and say, God, what are you trying to show me in this time? You're not going to miss the word. You're not going to miss the lessons. You're not going to miss the instruction. You're not going to miss whatever it is that God is trying to give you so that he can move you to your next place. He can move you to your next assignment. But if you're sitting down, going through the fire, and you sitting there blaming everybody around you, for one, you sit in the fire a little bit longer. And for two, you're not getting what you need to go to the next level. Another verse I have is in 1 Peter chapter 1. I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna start at verse 3. All praise to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is by his great mercy that we have been born again, because God raised Jesus Christ from the dead. Now we live with great expectation, and we have a priceless inheritance, an inheritance that is kept in heaven for you, pure and undefiled, beyond the reach of change and decay. And through your faith, God is protecting you by his power until you receive the salvation, which is ready to be revealed on the last day for all to see. So be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. And then I have one more, is John chapter 15. Starting at verse 1, it says, I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit. Ego does not produce fruit. Pride does not produce fruit. Blaming everybody else does not produce fruit. Sitting still and not being open to what God is doing does not produce fruit. And he prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to my Father. You guys, it's everything that we go through. There's a purpose in it. Everything. And you have to allow yourself to sit still and seek God on what that purpose is. Because you stay in that very hell that you're trying to get out of. You stay in it longer because you're not getting what you need out of it. You're not getting the support that you need out of it. And again, support is not just a friend or a helpmeet. Support, it can be an acquired skill. Support can be a new mannerism. Support could be a new attitude. Support could be a new perspective. Whatever is going to get you to the next level. I had this conversation with God on Thursday. I was fired on Friday. God said, your purpose here is done. You have got whatever it is that I needed you to get. You got it. Your purpose here is done. So I want to encourage you guys, because I just feel like as God continues building his people up, more and more people that you would never imagine, people that you just don't even see God using, God finna use their life. But guess what? They got to go through hell. They got to go through that fire first before God can trust them to lead his people or to govern his people. You have to go through that type of hell first. You have to have that shift in your heart. You have to have that shift in your mind. What is that verse? It's Psalms 51:10. Renew in me a clean heart, O Lord. Renew my loyal spirit to you. Or the verse in Ezekiel 36:26, one of my favorite verses, where God says, I will give you a clean heart. I will give you a new heart. I will take away your heart of flesh, and I will give you a new heart. Let me read that real quick, because that's like one of my favorite verses. I just haven't read it in a while. It says, and I will give you a new heart, and I will put a new spirit in you. I will take out your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart. God is doing something in his people, y'all. God is doing something in me. And you know what? The next day, because I like I said, the fact that my health I've already been having health issues, and then my blood pressure was at the height that it was. Yo, when you looked it up, that thing says stage 2 hypertension. I went straight from regular blood pressure to stage 2. Which that didn't do nothing but stress me no more, because the doctors couldn't figure out how to get it low. She checked my levels right before I left. It was still high. I'm thinking I got to get on blood pressure medicine now. But the next day when I left the house, so the staffing agency that I worked for is called Genesis. And so I made a little joke with God. I said, God, if I'm done with Genesis, then show me that this is my Exodus. And I wasn't even for real about it. It was really just a play on the names in the Bible. The next day I listened to a video, Stephanie P. Smith, and within the first 2 minutes, she said, this is your Exodus. I was like, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. Like, now I don't have to feel bad. Now I don't have to feel like, did I do something wrong? Could I have done this better? Could I have done that better? No, my season was up. It don't matter what I could have did differently. My time was up. I could have did exactly what they wanted me to do, and God would have still said my time is up. Even if it wouldn't have been done on Friday, it was going to be up. Heck, my contract probably was not going to be renewed by the end of this. Who knows? But my purpose was served in that situation, and God is moving me to better. God is moving me to better. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready for the better that he wants to move me to. So I really just want to give encouragement to you guys about like whatever transition God has you going through in your life, even if it's a mental or an emotional transition, even if it's just spiritual, even if it's physical, like sit with God and ask him, what is it that he's wanting you to learn out of this? That's what gets you to your next level faster. When you learn it, you got to think about it like this. God is a teacher. We are the students. The things that God has us going through, those are assignments. The things that God has us, the people that God have us dealing with, those are assignments. What happens when you fail your assignment? You got to do it again, right? Whether you got to do that assignment again, whether you got to do that same grade again, you got to do it again until you pass. What happens when you pass? You go on to the next subject. You go on to the next topic. And guess what? What happens when you are done with school? You graduate and you go to the next level. This is all a school thing, y'all. We are in school. I completed my assignment. I'm now going to my next assignment. I'm now going to my next grade. I'm not going to sit here and harbor, well, maybe I could have did this right. Maybe I should have did this differently. No. My time is done there. So I just wanted to send you guys some encouragement on just what God is doing in this time. And again, y'all, the things that I learned, and I want you guys to take this to God and apply it. But the things that I learned is, for one, a job does not provide me stability. God does. Two, keep my autonomy, keep my identity. My name is Aaliyah. My name is not Genesis. My name is not the company I was contracted to. My name is Aaliyah. There's nothing wrong with me following a system. There are specific steps. There's a system. But if it's something that everybody can do differently, I can take part of what you do and I can combine it with what I do and still create something that fits me. I'm not trying to be you. I don't want you to be me. We supposed to be trying to figure out how to mesh together. The third one is, when purpose is done, God removes you. And the fourth one is, be willing to take a look at yourself first before blaming others. Be willing to seek God before blaming the devil. That's another one. People like to say, oh, the devil doing this. No, seek God and ask God if he's putting you through this for a purpose, for a reason. Why am I going through this? Y'all be real quick to be like, oh, the devil busy today. The devil is never busy in my life. He don't have nothing over here. He's never busy. You will never hear me say the devil is busy over here. The devil is doing this. He's not doing nothing over here. He don't have nothing to do with me. He and I are not friends. He can't make me do nothing. Instead of saying the devil is doing this, seek God and ask God, what is he trying to show you? Stop giving the devil so much credit. Stop giving people so much credit. Oh, this is... They being nasty towards me. That's why this is going on. No, don't give them people that type of power. I could easily say, oh, those girls that kept tattletaling to my manager, they the reason why I have my job. You will never have that much power over me. God wanted me removed out of the situation. That's why I don't have this job. Y'all tattletelling ain't do nothing for me. So hopefully this word helps you guys. I love you all, and I will see y'all in my next video. All right, real quick, y'all. I'm coming back because I got this email, but also because I saw this this ad on my TV. So I'm watching a movie on Netflix, and the ad says "Built for What's Next." I'm actually going to make that the picture of this video. But then also I got this email, and it says, even something very tiny may change your course dramatically. And then it proceeds on to say, I feel that you need to let go and surrender some fear. This may be a very small fear or a very small alteration, but this will have great consequences for your life. You will enter a wonderful period of freedom if you do this small act. And then it goes on to say also, think about a ship on its course. If you even just change the direction by 1 degree, you will not feel anything immediately. But as the ship sails over the sea, the change in direction will become dramatic and affect the course indeed. Hour after hour, day after day, a 1 degree change in the compass ends up taking us to a very different place. And then it says, today, Aaliyah, take it upon yourself to make a change in your day. Again, it does not have to be huge. It just has to be different. By doing so, you will show that you are not afraid of change. And again, this is all just about transition. This is about when your purpose is done and God is transitioning you to the next phase of your life. And these are just the things that I learned within this transition. And yeah, we're going to see what happens next, guys. I'm excited, though. I'm not stressed. I'm not worried. I'm very excited about what God is about to do in my life.